Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, I hope you hear me. Are you
Good
there?
evening, sir. Good
Okay.
evening, sir. Yes.
So our topic was the same topic, right? It takes around the 3 sessions to complete this topic, that is contract law or law of contract. Last week, in the previous session, we completed up to slide number 16, right? Am I correct?
Yes, sir. Correct.
Right. Now, today, we are going to start from slide number 17. The subtopic, main topic is law of contract. And the law of contract subtopic, offer and acceptance, capacity to contract, consideration for the contract. This is the subtopic. Please take your note down the subtopic, offer and acceptance. These two, offer and acceptance, are very important as far as the contract law is concerned. Capacity to contract, consideration for the contract. Right. Now, look at what do we mean by offer and acceptance. Statements, right, preliminary to an offer. Statements preliminary to an offer. Listen first. Open people who wish to enter into contracts make statements, preliminary statement to the offer. These preliminary statements must be distinguished from the offer. Preliminary statements are not offers. There are two main types of such preliminary statements that are not offers. These are an invitation to make an offer and declaration of intention. So we have intention to do something, to offer something, but preliminary at the beginning, we make an statement, we make an invitation. So these are not offer. Offer has to be, communicate in proper way. So we have to write them in writing, actually. If there is no, invitation is just like, the people make an invitation, hey, come and I would like to offer, my, the land or house. You have to mute your microphone, right? So Delwala, Delwala. You have to mute the microphone. Right. So people make invitation. Invitation is not wedding invitation. No, it's kind of a, you understand that the contract, right? Previously at the beginning, we discussed about what is contract, right? It's an agreement between two parties. So first, let's write, there is a person, Kamal, right? I have house. I say that, Kamal, I would like to sell my house to you. So it's kind of an invitation or declaration of intention. We express our intention, but until it is in writing, There is no offer. Okay. Then again under this topic, there is another subtopic, offer and acceptance. Offer and acceptance. Please note down. Statements preliminary to an offer. Statements preliminary to an offer. That is not offers. Okay. First bullet. Often people who wish to enter into contracts, make statements preliminary to the offer. These preliminary statements must be distinguished. Must be distinguished from the offer. Meaning that statements or declarations are not offers. Those are preliminary to an offer. Okay. Next bullet point. There are two main types of such preliminary statements. That are not offers. These are number one. An invitation to make an offer. Right? That is not an offer, but invitation. And number two, declaration of intention. කැමැත්ත ප්‍රකාශ කිරීම. Declaration of බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන දේ ප්‍රකාශ කිරීම. A declaration of intention. Remember that as far as contract is concerned, offer and acceptance are two main important elements. Right? People make statements. People make an invitation. People declare his or her intention. But those are called statements preliminary to the offer, to an offer. These are not offers. Okay? Right. Then next subtopic, invitation to make an offer. Invitation to make an offer. Okay. You know, an advertisement or an invitation to make an offer is not an offer, but it has, but it is capable being turned into a contract by acceptance. Right? An advertisement or an invitation to make an offer is not an offer, but it is a capability being turned into a contract by acceptance. Okay? I hope you understand. First bullet, an advertisement or an invitation to make an offer which is capable, it has capability, being turned, හරවන්න මොකක් හැටියටද? contract එකක් හැටියට. Being turned into a contract. contract එකක් බවට පරිවර්තනය කරන්න පුළුවන්. කොහොමද? By acceptance. පිළිගැනීම මගින්. offer පිළිගැන්වීම, acceptance පිළිගැනීම. නැත්නම් අපි එකට කියනවා ප්‍රතිග්‍රහණය කියලා සිංහලෙන්. You don't need to write all these examples, but let me read it out. Which is capable of being turned into a contract by acceptance. Let me give you an example. A shopkeeper who displays goods in his shop window with a price tag on them stating a price does not make an offer. Right? කඩේ කඩවල් වල shops වල ඔබ දැකලා ඇති, right? ඇඳුම් වර්ග price tag එකකුත් එක්ක ගහලා ලස්සනට තියෙනවා. මේවා තියෙන්නේ ප්‍රදර්ශනයට. ඒක විකුණන්නේ නැහැ. ඒකෙන් invitation එකක් කරන්නේ. Right? By showing this, people are invited. Hey, come. We have goods, these type of things, these type of dress. But that dress will not be sold. It is kind of an invitation for the people to come and look. We have these type of the dress. That is an invitation. Oh, right. Does not make an offer, but merely invites the public to make an offer to buy the goods at the price stated. ඒ තියෙන මිලට ගන්න මිනිසුන්ට කරන invitation. However, it is concerned that Consumer Protection Law under our Consumer Affairs Authority Act of 2003 may cast obligations on traders, businessmen, and shopkeepers, etc., which will override the above contract law rules. Right? Whatever the contract law is subject to the provisions of the Consumer Affairs Authority Act. Okay. Then, declaration of an intention. Declaration of intention. Right. Look at this. A declaration by a person that he intends to do a thing gives no right of action to another. So, declaration of intention does not give right to the other party. Action to another who suffers loss because he does not carry put his intention. Such a declaration only means that an offer is to be made or invited in the future, and not that an offer is made now. Right? Just give me 1 second. Done. Sorry. So, an offer is made, not that an offer is made now. Example, if an auctioneer announces the holding of an auction, it is not an offer, but only an advertisement that an auction will take place. Thus, if the auction is cancelled or postponed at the last moment, any members of the public who came for the auction cannot claim their travel expenses from the auctioneer. බලන්නකෝ උදාහරණයෙන් කියන්නේ ඔක්සනිය කෙනෙක් ඔක්සන් එකක් තියෙනවා මොන හරි බඩු සේල් කරන්න හරි කියලා ඇඩ්වර්ටයිස්මන්ට් එකක් දානවා. හරිද? අවසාන මොහොතේ ඒක කැන්සල් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වෙනුවෙන් මිනිසුන්ට ඇක්ෂන් ගන්න බෑ. අපි බලාපොරොත්තුෙන් හිටියා අපි මේක ගන්න බලාගෙන හිටියා අපි ආවා අවසාන මොහොතේ උදේ පාන්දර කැන්සල් කරන්න පුළුවන්. අන්න ඒ වගේ දේවල් වලට අර ඇඩ්වර්ටයිස්මන්ට් එක දාපු කෙනාට ඔක්ෂනියට විරුද්ධව නීතිමය ක්‍රියා කරන්න බෑ because declaration of intention is not an offer. It is the offer, it is something that the offer is to be made in the future. Right? Do you understand? පැහැදිලිද?
Yes, sir.
Right. Declaration of intention, subtopic. A declaration by a person, that he intends to do a thing, gives no right of action, no right of action to another අනෙකුත් පාර්ශවයකට to another who suffers loss right who suffers loss because because he does not put his intention. He does not put his intention. Full stop. Such a declaration only means that an offer is to be made, or invited in the future, comma, and not that an offer is made now. You don't need to write examples. I will read it out because you have this presentation, so you can go through it. Now, so next we will look at how an offer is made. Subtopic, how an offer is made. කොහොමද පිළිගැන්වීමක් කරන්නේ? Offer, පිළිගැන්වීම. Acceptance, පිළිගැනීම නැත්නම් ප්‍රතිග්‍රහණය. Right. First bullet form. The offer may be expressed. එක ප්‍රකාශිත එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Or the offer may be expressed or implied from conduct. The person making offer is called එයාව හඳුන්වන්නේ the offerer, පිළිගන්වන්නා, the offerer. And the person to whom the offer is made. The person to whom, කාටද? Whom. The person to whom the offer is made is called the offeree. Right? The person to whom the offer is made, make a offer එක පිළිගැන්වීම බාර ගන්න තැනත්තා. Person to the offer is made. කාටද මේ offer එක දෙන්නේ? අපි හිතමු නිමල්ට කියලා. So නිමල් is called the offeree. හරි. Next bullet form. An offer made to an offer may be made to. An offer may be made to. Made to. Roman 1. A definite person. නිශ්චිත පුද්ගලයෙකුට වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Definite person. Roman 2. Roma ඉලක්කම් 2. To the world at large. ලොකු විශාල crowd එකට open. Open වෙන්න පුළුවන්. World at, to the world at large, which means to the general public. Or Roma ඉලක්කම් to Roman 3. To some definite class of persons. To some definite class of persons. සමහර clubs ගමු අපි. ඒ clubs වලට යන්න බෑ. Only members. Members only. Definite class of people. Persons. අපි ගමු SSC එක ගත්තත් ක්‍රිකට් සිංහල ක්‍රීඩා සමාජය ගත්තත් අනිකුත් ක්‍රීඩා සමාජයත් ඒවට යන්න පුළුවන් මෙම්බර්ස්ලාට විතරයි තෝරාගන්න. එතකොට එතන offer කරන්නේ whatever it is, meals, drink, whatever it is, offered only for is these things are offered only for the selected people, right? Full stop. And an offer to the world at large. Again, general public එකට නම් මේ offer එක දෙන්නේ. At large. An offer to the world at large can be accepted by anyone. Can be accepted by anyone. ප්‍රසිද්ධ කරලා තියෙන්නේ හැමෝටම නම් පොදුවේ නම් ඕන කෙනෙකුට ඒක accept කරන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි definite person කෙනෙකුට නම් එයාට විතරයි. Definite, right? Class of people නම් ඒගොල්ලන්ට විතරයි. An offer to some definite class. An offer to some definite class. An offer to some definite class. නිශ්චිත, definite class. Can only be accepted by a member of that class. අපි හිතමු සිංහල ක්‍රීඩා සමාජයේ අපි හිතමුකෝ යම්කිසි ඉරිදා දවසක මොකක් හරි තියෙනවා ස්පෙෂල් ඩාන්ස් එකක්. ලේඩීස් ඩාන්ස් හරි මොකක් හරි එකක්. ඒක මේ කියන්නේ මිනිසුන්ට එන 5000යි 10000යි ටිකට්ස් ඒව කියලා ඒක ඔෆර් කරනවා. So ඒ මෙම්බර්ස්ලට විතරයි එතෙන්ට යන්න පුළුවන්. අනිත් අයට බෑ. මොකද ඒක ඩෙෆිනිට් ක්ලාස් එකකට තමයි ඔෆර් කරන්නේ. හරි. ඊළඟට next subtopic, all offers must be communicated. සෑම පිළිගැන්වීමක්ම සංනිවේදනය කරන්න උවමනයි. All offers must be communicated. Right. First bullet. Oh, first para, rather. All offers must be communicated. All offers must be communicated to the offeree before they can be accepted. ඉස්සෙල්ලා පිළිගන්නන්න ඕනේ. ඊට පස්සේ තමයි accept වෙන්නේ. ඒවා communicate කරන්න ඕනේ. පිළිගැනීමට කලින් ප්‍රතිග්‍රහණය කිරීමට කලින් ඇක්සෙප්ට් කරන්න කලින්. The offeree cannot accept. The offeree cannot accept. The offeree cannot accept an offer. An offer. Unless he or she, unless he knows of its existence. ඒක පවතිනොයි කියලා එයා දැනගන්න ඕන. දැනගන්න තුරු accept කරන්න බෑ. Because existence, because he cannot accept it. He cannot accept it without. He cannot accept it without intending to do so. Intending, බලාපොරොත්තු, intending to do so. And he cannot intend to accept. එයා එහෙම බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්න accept කරන්න. An offer of which he is not aware. එයා දන්නේ නැතුව accept කරන්න බෑ. He is not aware. Give me an example. Let me give you an example. If A means a person, right? Something like that. Just 1 second. A. A is like this, right? If A offers by advertisement a reward of 5,000 to anyone who returns his lost dog. ඒගේ බල්ල නැති වෙලා. ඒ announcement එකක් දෙනවා. මොකක් කියලාද? මගේ බල්ලා සොයා ගෙනත් දෙන්නෙකුට රුපියල් 5000ක් දෙනවායි කියලා. Right. And B finding the dog. B බල්ලා හොයාගන්න. Bring it to A. ඒට ගෙනත් දෙනවා. Without having heard of the offer of the reward. බල්ලා ගෙනත් දුන්නට රුපියල් 5000ක් දෙනවයි කියලා announce කරලා තියෙනවයි කියලා B දන්නේ නැහැ. එවැනි විටක B is not entitled to the reward of 5,000. එයා දැනගෙන හිටියේ නැත්නම් offer එක. එයාට ඒක claim කරන්න ඉල්ලන්න බෑ. Right? I hope you understand. Right. Next. Lapse of an offer. Yes? Anybody wants to? Is somebody raising a question? Okay. Lapse of an offer. Lapse of an offer. Number 1. Again. Take another. End. Right. Number 1. On the death. On the death. Right. Number 1. On the death either of the offerer or the offeree. on the death. මරණය නිසා කාටද? Of the offerer or the offeree. Before acceptance. ප්‍රතිග්‍රහණයට කලින්, පිළිගැනීමට කලින්, පිළිගැන්වීම නෙවෙයි පිළිගැනීමට කලින්. පිළිගන්වන්න පිළිගන්න කෙනා දෙන්නගෙන් එක්කෙනෙක් මැරුණොත් lapse වෙනවා. No offer. Right. Full stop. Death after acceptance. Death after acceptance has no effect in the majority of contracts. And the executor, ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න, execute කරන්න of the deceased person. මරණ කෙනා වෙනුවෙන් ඒක execute කරන කෙනා. Deceased person will be responsible to perform the obligations of the contract unless they are of a personal nature. They are of a personal nature. Look at the example. A agreed to paint B's, right, a portrait. A agree වෙනවා paint කරන්න B ගේ portrait. A dies before he does so. The contract cannot be performed because it involves A's personal skill as a portrait artist. එතකොට කොන්ත්‍රාත්තුව ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න බෑ. මොකද ඒක තියෙන්නේ A ගේ personal skill එකත් එක්ක. හරි. Number 2. By non-acceptance, within the time prescribed, නිශ්චිතව දක්වන ලද time period එක, within the time prescribed for acceptance, by the offerer. ඒ කියන්නේ නිශ්චිත time period එකක් ඇතුලේ offer දෙන එක, offer විසින් දෙන offer එක, offerer විසින් දෙන offer එක එයා කියනවා මෙන්න මේ කාලය තුල මේක පිළිගන්න ඕනේ. ප්‍රතිග්‍රහණය කරන්න ඕනේ. accept කරන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම කරේ නැත්නම් මොකද වෙන්නේ? lapse වෙනවා. ඒක බලාත්මක offer එකක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Example. Mr. Silva tells Mr. Pereira, I offer to sell my car for rupees 2 million if you buy it within 2 weeks. Pereira කියනවා, Miss Silva කියනවා Mr. Pereiraට මම මගේ කාර් එක රුපියල් මිලියන 2කට විකුණනවා. හැබැයි ඒක within 2 weeks ප්‍රකාශ කරපු දවසේ ඉඳලා within 2 weeks ගන්නනවා විතරයි. If Mr. Pereira does not pay the money within 2 weeks, Mr. Silva's offer lapses. Right? There is no offer. It lapses. Number 3. Number 3. When no time for acceptance is prescribed, when no time for acceptance is prescribed, accept කරන්න ප්‍රතිග්‍රහණය කරන්න නිශ්චිත කාලයක් දක්වා නැති විට, when no time for acceptance is prescribed, comma, by non-acceptance within a reasonable time, by non-acceptance within a reasonable time period, by non-acceptance within a reasonable time, full stop. ඒ කියන්නේ prescribe කළ නැහැ. හැබැයි reasonable time period එකක් ඇතුලේ ඒක ප්‍රතිග්‍රහණය කරේ accept කරුවේ නැත්නම් ඒත් lapse වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Then there is a question arise. What do we mean by reasonable time? If time has not been prescribed and within reasonable time, it has to be accepted. Offer has to be accepted. If not, it lapses. Then what do we mean by reasonable time? What is reasonable time depends on, take your note, what is reasonable time depends on, what is reasonable time depends on the nature of the contract. And the circumstances of, and the circumstances of each cases. Right. Next. Revocation of offer. Revocation of offer. Offer එකක් අවලංගු කිරීම. Revocation. Offer එකක් අවලංගු කිරීම. Just give me 1 second. Right. Revocation of offer. Offer එකක් අවලංගු වීම. අවලංගු කිරීම. An offer may be revoked. අවලංගු කරනවා. Revoke. An offer may be revoked in accordance with the following rules. පහත දැක්වෙන rules වලට යටත්ව පහත දැක්වෙන rules අනුව offer එකක් අවලංගු කරන්න පුළුවන්. Number 1. Number 1. An offer may be revoked. An offer may be revoked an offer may be revoked in a court, an offer may be revoked at any time before an acceptance. Right. An offer is irrevocable. ආපසු හැරවිය නොහැකි. Irrevocable. An offer is irrevocable. Irrevocable after acceptance. Offer is irrevocable after acceptance. ආපහුව පිළිගත්තට පස්සේ ආයි හරවන්න බෑ. Number 2. Number 2. Revocation of an offer. Revocation of an offer. Does not affect until it is actually communicated. Until it is actually communicated to the offeree. Right. Revocation එක effect වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Offereeට ඒක communicate කරන තාක්කල්. Communication for this purpose means that the revocation must have actually come to the knowledge of the offeree. Right. Next subtopic, rejection of an offer. Rejection of an offer. Ladies and gentlemen, if the offeree communicates his rejection to the offerer, or if the offeree makes a counter offer, then that offer is rejected. If the offeree or an offer is rejected, if the offeree communicate his rejection to the offerer and if the offeree makes a counter offer. Okay, right. Take your note. An offer is rejected. An offer is rejected. Number one, if the offeree communicates his rejection, නෑ මම ඒක ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කරනවා කියලා rejection to the offerer. offererට කියනවා නෑ මම ඔයාගේ පිළිගැන්වීම ප්‍රතිග්‍රහණය කරන්නේ නෑ මම ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කරනවා. Number two, if the offeree makes a counter offer. If the offeree makes a counter offer, අන්න එතකොට reject වෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ කෙනෙක් කියනවා මට right මම මගේ කාර් එක ඔයාලට විකුණනවා මිලියන 3කට. So I can reject it. So the offer is rejected. And either I can make a counter offer. Like, no, I would buy it. Or I will buy it if you sell it for 2.5 million, something like that. A counter offer. Then the first offer is rejected. Number two, if the offeree makes a counter offer. Right. Then subtopic, the acceptance. Acceptance can පිළිගන්නවා. හරි? Do you remember that when I'm delivering my lecture on Gratuity Act, I explained to you one classic court case, Singer Sri Lanka. Do you remember? Can anybody recall or remember? Is anybody? Do you remember? Do you remember that we discussed the Gratuity Act and how to calculate gratuity? So I explained to you when I'm delivering my lecture on Gratuity Act, Singer Sri Lanka case, right? Under the enhanced gratuity, under the subtopic of enhanced gratuity. Gratuity is only, half a month's salary from the last drawn salary per each year of service. But there may be enhanced gratuity, 1 month or 75% or 3/4 rather gratuity. Singer Sri Lanka management offered 3/4 of gratuity instead of 50% or 0.5, half a month salary. They offered like 3/4 of monthly salary. I mean that enhanced gratuity to those who will be retiring having served to the company more than 20 years. Those who will retire, like making his service or her service to the company more than 20 years, the company offer for such our workers, we would like to give 3/4 of මාස 3 කාලක මාස භාගය වෙනුවට gratuity. In writing, that offer communicate to the trade union, Ceylon Mercantile Employees Union, CMU in short. In writing, the union neither accepted nor rejected. Instead, they were demanding 1 month gratuity. When they were, the demanding, couple of around 12 people retired from the company. They have served more than 20 years, but they were paid only half a month's salary as gratuity, calculated from the last round salary. Half a month for each year of service. It means if 20 years, 10 months salary. Now, the union on behalf of these workers complained to the Department of Labor, and conciliation was taken place, but failed. Then it was referred for an arbitrator. Arbitrator gave an award in favor of workers. I mean, company was directed. Company was directed to pay 3/4 of monthly salary as gratuity, because the company has communicated it in writing to the union. Then, against the decision, company went for a writ application to the appeal court. Appeal court also affirmed the decision of the arbitrator. Then again, company went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said that arbitrator, the decision of the arbitrator, and that decision was affirmed by the Court of Appeal. These two entities are wrong. Company is not liable to pay 3/4, even though they have communicated it in writing, because there was no acceptance. Union did not accept it, neither accepted nor rejected. So then there is no contract. Okay, do you understand? Okay, right. Take your note. Acceptance is only possible if the offer is still in force. The offer is still in force. තාමත් බලාත්මක වෙනවා නම් විතරයි. Next bullet form. The acceptance must be made while the offer is still in force. The offer is still in force, and before the offer has lapsed, been revoked, or rejected. Full stop. Once the acceptance is complete, once the acceptance is completed, is completed, comma. The offer cannot be revoked. The offer cannot be revoked. The offer cannot be revoked. It becomes, stop. It becomes irrevocable. It becomes irrevocable. Matter me. Right. It becomes irrevocable. අවලංගු කළ නොහැකි තත්ත්වයට පත් වෙනවා. Right. Next. Remaining silent is not acceptance. You don't need to write this. I gave you an example from the Gratuity Act. Generally speaking, silence or inaction by the offeree will not amount to an acceptance. Okay. Take your note. Right. Stomach and stomach. This is a special one. Stomach. Generally speaking, silence or inaction, generally speaking, silence or inaction by the offeree will not amount to an acceptance. Will not amount to an acceptance. Right. Next subtopic. කොහොමද මොන ආකාරයටද right acceptance එකක් විස්තර කරන්න පුළුවන්, prescribe කරන්න පුළුවන්. Manner of acceptance can be prescribed. Right. Subtopic, manner of acceptance can be prescribed. මොන විදියටද පුළුවන් prescribe කරන්න? Accept පිළිගන්න එක. මම පිළිගත්තයි කියලා කොහොමද දැනුම් දෙන්නේ? Offer එක. Right. Manner of acceptance can be prescribed. එයටදී ලියන්න para, only one para. If the offerer prescribed, offerer පිළිගන්නවන කෙනා, offer එක දෙන කෙනා, if the offerer prescribed or indicated, විස්තර කරලා තියෙනවා නම් එහෙම නැත්නම් සඳහන් කරලා තියෙනවා නම් indicated a particular method of acceptance. පිළිගන්න ඕනේ මෙන්න මේ ආකාරයට කියලා, මෙන්න මේ method එකට කියලා indicate කරලා තියෙනවා නම්, විස්තර කරලා තියෙනවා නම්, particular method of acceptance. And the acceptor or offeree, acceptor or offeree accepts in that way, comma, in that way, එහෙම කළොත් there will be a contract. කොන්ත්‍රාත්තුවක් පවතිනවා. Comma, even though the offerer does not know, of the acceptance. Let me give you example. Read it out. The offerer requires the offeree to accept by advertisement in a particular column of a certain newspaper. Offerer කියනවා මගේ පිළිගැන්වීම ප්‍රතිග්‍රහණය කරන්න ඕනේ advertisement එකකින් නිශ්චිත column එකක. The acceptance will be communicated when the advertisement is published as requested. whether or not the offerer reads it or sees it. එයා ඒක කියවුවත් නැතත් නිශ්චිත කාලය ඇතුළත එයා කියලා තියෙන විදිහට පිළිගැනීම කරලා තියෙනවනේ. එයා ඒක කියෙව්වේ නෑ මම දැක්කේ නෑ කියන්න බෑ. Failure to accept in the prescribed method. Prescribed method එකේ කරන්න බැරි වුණොත් may means that there is no valid contract. Right? ඒ නිසා මේ පිළිගැන්වීම කරන ආකාරය පිළිගන්න ආකාරය වැදගත් method එක. Right. Next, look at where the method of acceptance is not stipulated. නිශ්චිත method එකක් දක්වලා නැහැ. එතකොට right. Next para එකෙන් ලියන්න. Where the offer does not stipulate, where the offerer does not stipulate the method of acceptance. The method of acceptance. Come on. The offeree may accept it. The offeree may accept it. The offeree may accept it in a reasonable manner. In a reasonable manner. ඒ කියන්නේ offerer කියලා නෑ මෙන්න මේ විදිහටයි මේක පිළිගන්න ඕනේ කියලා. ඒ නිසා එවැනි වෙලාවක ඒක පිළිගන්න කෙනාට reasonable නිශ්චිත විදිහක ලියලා ලිඛිතව දීලා හරි එහෙම නැත්නම් ඇඩ්වර්ටයිස්මන්ට් එකක් දාලා හරි මම පිළිගන්නවායි කියලා. right? එහෙම නැත්නම් නීතිඥයෙන් මාර්ගයේ ලියුමක් යවලා හරි ඕන ක්‍රමයකට පුළුවන්. The offeree may accept in the same way in which the offer was made. If the offer was made by post, the reply can also be by post. If it is registered post, yes, acceptance letter also by registered post. That is what we mean by a reasonable manner. Acceptance by acting of an offer. What does it mean? If the offer is one which is to be accepted by being acted upon, no communication of acceptance to the offerer is necessary unless communication is stipulated for in the offer itself. Example, if an offer of a reward is made for finding a lost dog, the offer is accepted by finding the dog, and it is necessary before beginning to search for the dog to give notice of acceptance of the offer. අර බල්ලා දන්නේ නැහැ නෝටිස් එක රුපියල් 5000ක් දෙනවයි කියලා. බල්ලා අරගෙන ඇවිල්ලා 5000 ඉල්ලුවට හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ. එහෙනම් කියන්න ඕනේ ඇඩ්වර්ටයිස්මන්ට් එක දැම්මහම කවුරු හරි එක බාර ගන්න කෙනා කියන්න ඕන මම බල්ලා හොයලා දෙනවා කියලා දන්වන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම නැති වුණොත් එතන මොකද්ද පිළිගැනීමක් ඇති වෙන්නේ නැහැ සහ කොන්ත්‍රාත්තුවක් ඇති වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Right. Next, acceptance subtopic, acceptance by acting on the offer. Acceptance by acting on the offer. Today we need to finish this, and I also need to go a little early for my medical checkup. It is at 10:30. So I'm trying to, finish it as early as possible. Finish this as early as possible. I wanted to cancel the lecture, but then I thought of, conducting it. Okay. Acceptance by acting on the offer. Right. Under that, if the offer is one, if the offer is one, මොකද්ද offer එක, which is to be accepted by, being acted upon. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒකට ඒකට ඇක්ට් කරන්න ඕනේ. කියන්නේ හරි මම ඔබගේ ඔෆර් එක පිළිගන්නවයි කියලා කියන්න ඕනේ. Being acted upon. Comma. No communication of acceptance. No communication of acceptance to the offerer just give me 1 second. Right. Sorry, but sometimes, I'm really busy and I have to answer to the calls. It's not my private call, it's official one. Okay. Acceptance by an, okay. Can somebody repeat? Okay. Communication of acceptance to the offerer is necessary, comma, unless communication is stipulated. Unless communication is stipulated. For in the offer itself. For in the offer itself. Sorry, right. Dr. Hambindhani. Okay, right. Example, if an offer of a reward is made for finding a lost dog, the offer is accepted by finding the dog. The offer is accepted by finding the dog, and it is necessary before beginning to search for the dog to give notice of acceptance of the offer. Okay. Now, next subtopic, acceptance in instantaneous, ක්ෂණිකව. Acceptance in instantaneous contracts. ක්ෂණිකව ඇතිවන කොන්ත්‍රාත්තුවල පිළිගැනීම. Right. The following are the main types of the following are the main types of instantaneous clinical communications which concerns the law of contract. Number one. Communications between persons present at the same place or very close to each other. Number two, communication by telephone. Number three, the above rules relating to confirmation of acceptance. Confirmation of acceptance in the case of contracts. In the case of contracts, between parties also applies to contract contracts entered into by telex, fax, and email. You don't need to write all these things, ladies and gentlemen. Acceptance in contracts by post. Postal contracts are made by letter, telegram, or cable. The telegram or cable are now really used for contractual negotiation. Telephone, fax, may okkoma walangui. Ekai me kiyan. You don't need to write one by one because acceptance complete on posting of letter. acceptance complete වෙනවා මොනවා කරාමද letter එකක් post කරා. The post as a medium of communication in Sri Lanka. Ladies and gentlemen, in Sri Lanka, the matter of the post as a medium of transmission has been considered in the courts in connection with the transmission of a notice of application for conditional leave, right, to appeal, leave to appeal to the Privy Council. We have, I mean, what it says is we have what you call court cases as well. The post as a medium of communication in Sri Lanka is accepted by the court system. Acceptance subject to contract. This is important subtopic. Acceptance subject to contract. Acceptance subject to contract. What does it mean? An acceptance subject to contract means, ladies and gentlemen, the parties do no intent to be bound until a formal contract is prepared and signed by them. Right? Acceptance subject to contract. Acceptance subject to contract means that the parties do no intent to be bound until a formal contract is prepared and signed by them. It is understood, understandable, right? Until, the contract is signed, there is no contract. That is what it says. Acceptance subject to contract. Take your note. An acceptance, first para, only one para. An acceptance subject to contract means, an acceptance subject to contract means, subject to contract means that the parties do no intend an acceptance subject to contract means that the parties do no intend parties do no intent to be bound until a formal contract is prepared and signed by them. Conditional acceptance, these are not. This is important. Agreement to agree in future. Agreement to agree in future. What it says, if the parties have not agreed upon the terms of their contracts, but have made an agreement to agree in the future, there is no contract. This is important, right? Take your note. If the parties have not agreed upon, if the parties have not agreed upon the terms of their contracts. Terms of their contracts, but have made an agreement, to agree in the future there is no contract. That is enough. Right? There are many things, but this is what you have to know. If the parties have not agreed upon the terms of their contract, but have made an agreement to agree in the future, then there is no contract. And then subtopic, capacity to contract. Capacity to contract.
Excuse me, sir. What is the previous topic? Agreement to?
Agreement to agree in future. You know, we agree for a certain things, right? We made an agreement to agree in the future, not at present. Then that is not a contract. Okay, you can't have agreement for the future agreement. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. Capacity to contract. The followings have the followings have no capacity. Have no capacity to enter into contract. To enter into contract. Number one. Minors. Balavayaskar. Minors. Put a dash. You see, minors. Those under 18 years of age. Those under 18 years of age. Number two. Mentally unsound persons. Number three, intoxicated. Again, be intoxicated persons. Here also, you know, minors. Again, 18ට අඩු අයට බෑ කියලා නඩු තීන්දුව තියෙනවා. Right? ශ්‍රී ලංකා ඒවා ආපහු ලියන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. The persons of a minor again, right? Minor people, they cannot enter into contract. Right. Then consensus ad idem dash pre-consent. This subtopic. I will let you know what it is. Consensus. Ad idem pre-consent. One of the essentials of a valid contract is that the parties should enter into contract with their pre-consent. Nidahas say balahakkarakamenn bෑ. Consent is said to be pre when it is not caused by mistake, misrepresentation, duress, undue influence. Okay, take your note. One of the essentials. Do you see the present? Do you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
So you take your own note.
Okay, sir.
නෑ ඒ වෙන නම්බර් එකක් තියෙන එක වැඩ කරන්නේ නෑ මේ WhatsApp එක මම එවන්නම් ඒක පස්සේ ඔව් සර් කියන්නේ සර්කියුලර් එක දැක්කද ඒක did you finish ඉවරද
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay
sir.
so now look at the legality right every agreement of which the object or consideration is not lawful is void ඒ කියන්නේ නීතියට පටහැනි කිසිදු agreement එකක් කොන්ත්‍රාත්තුවක් වළංගු නැත right legality subtopic legality legality every agreement of which the object or consideration is not lawful is void වළංගු නැහැ examples clear ඕනේ නැහැ forbidden example forbidden by law right fraudulent purpose agreement right injurious to the person or property of another immoral opposed to the public policy right නීත්‍යානුකූල නැහැ එහෙම ඒවා factors affecting the validity of a contract factors subtopic factors affecting the validity of a contract කොන්ත්‍රාත්තුවේ වළංගුභාවය නැතුව යනවා මේවා නිසා mistake වුණොත් කොන්ත්‍රාත්තුව වළංගු නැහැ mistake b misrepresentation වැරදි නියෝජනයක් තිබුණොත් ඒත් වළංගු නැහැ misrepresentation right so it is visible no you write it see this is top right? Duress, බල කිරීම, undue influence, අනවශ්‍ය බලපෑම් කිරීම, illegality, නීත්‍යානුකූල නොවීම, frustration. These are the factors affecting. Then one by one mistake is, we don't need to explain one by one mistake. We know, people can't make mistakes when signing for contract. Misinterpretation, all these, you don't need to, explain one by one. These are examples actually for duress and undue influence. In undue influence, a person takes an advantage of a position of a power, right? The explanation of the factors and illegality. Okay. You don't need to remember, but factors, yes, you have to remember the factors. And the frustration. These are, the explanation. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is today, I wanted to finish it. Right. So, anything else? Any question? Any question? So far, is it clear? Kavisa, is it clear to you? Everything
Yes,
explained?
sir. Yes, sir, clear.
Okay, right. Right. If it is clear, let me wind up the session for today. Right. You have to remember the main point, right? Not, the questions will be raised. I mean, the what do you call, the multiple questions will be raised from this one. No any, descriptive type of questions will be raised from this one. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Right. Okay, then thank you very much. And good night for everyone.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Good night,
Okay,
sir.
good
Thank
night.
you.
Don't think that, I'm stopping early, but, sometimes we have to, right? Depending on the situation. And time is important, but understanding the subject is more important than the time period. Okay. So if we jump to another session, another lecture, another topic, right? I mean, it's useless. Okay. Good night.